Before the arenas, before the awards.
This is b4Nashville Live. Have a question for our guest?
Send it to us via Messenger.
Here's your host, George Davis.
And welcome to Before Nashville, introducing the country stars of tomorrow to the country fans of today. And tonight joining me is a Texas native and a very proud Texas native, and she has a long laundry list of name dropping that we'll get into in here just a little bit, and I'll introduce you to her coming up in 30 seconds, so stick around.
Before Nashville is proudly sponsored by Go-Go Tuners, the go-to tuner for professional and amateur musicians. Get your Go-Go Tuner at gogotuners.com. By Heart to Heart Coffee, the coffee that gives back. Find out more at heart2heartcoffee.com. By Sibby's Apparel, worn by heroes, made with respect. Order yours at sibby'sapparel.com. And by Three Rangers Whiskey, not for the weak or faint-hearted. ThreeRangers.com.
All right, and it's Before Nashville. Seems like it's been a minute since we've been on here. It's been a few weeks or a few episodes now, but tonight I've got a young lady joining me from Texas, and she has a very long laundry list of name dropping that we're going to talk about here in just a bit. She's a proud Texan, and on stage she goes by Billie Jo. And Billie Jo, welcome. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Good to talk to you tonight, and just want to find out a little bit about you starting off. Give me some ideas about how you got into music. What led you into this wild and crazy industry that we can't help but love?
Yeah, so I guess to start off with, my grandparents actually raised me since I was one. I'm now 31 years old now, so they've put up with me for 30 years. But I grew up listening to what I call the oldies but goodies. I grew up listening to George Jones, Loretta Lynn, Tammy Wynette, Patsy Cline, and I grew to love the old traditional country music, and that's kind of what I try and bring into the songs that I release now. And if you come to any of my shows, you're going to hear a lot of my stuff, but also I mix in some Reba McEntire, some Patsy Cline, Merle Haggard, some of those names. But yeah, I grew up in church, and then my dad was still a big part of my life. He didn't raise me, but he was still a big part of my life for sure, and actually taught me how to play the guitar. And he was the one that would sneak me into like the bars and like restaurants and would throw me up there on stage with whatever band was playing. So, but yeah, that's a little bit of how I got started.
How old were you when you first played on stage?
Oh, man. So the first time I ever went on stage, I was 9, and I sang it at one of a church that I grew up in. And then from that point forward, I think I was around probably 10 to 12 years old. I started singing at the local Opries, like Wiley Opry, the Gladewater Opry. There was the Point, Texas Cotton Picking Theater, big deal back in the day.
Right.
And so, yeah, I kind of grew up singing at church, and then the Opries, and then it led to singing at my hometown, the Rains County Fair, and just wherever I could sing. I guess my big moment happened when I was 18. I got to open for Ray Price. So that was my one of my most treasured moments that have happened so far.
Absolutely. And I mean,
Yeah.
at the age of 18 too, I mean, that's a big deal for anybody at any age. And then here
Mm-hmm.
you are 18 years old opening up for Ray Price.
Yes, it was incredible. It was awesome. And then I got to we actually shared a birthday party together. I think the next year, and then gosh, how long's it been? Probably 4 or 5 years maybe. I think when he passed away, I actually got to attend his funeral too, which was not so happy, but still it was just a really a touching moment to be able to be there and to celebrate the life that he had, because he could still sing up until the day he passed away. So it was awesome.
Right. Kind of one of those bittersweet moments.
Yes.
Now, when you're growing up and you're listening to a lot of the artists that you mentioned earlier, Patsy Cline and some of those, what was it like? I mean, and I know Texas is country through and through. Very, I mean, not a lot of. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't think a lot of kids down there were big into the rock scene at that point or the pop
Mhm.
scene. But what was it like for you in school when you're singing and your friends know that you're going out and you're gigging and stuff like that?
Oh man. So that's actually a question I've never been asked before. So some kids were like, "Oh, that's really cool. You're doing that. You're singing." And then you have the other ones that are like, I don't know, I guess probably jealous in a way that like they
Right.
couldn't do that, I guess. And I honestly kind of got made fun of in
Yeah.
school for, trying to be like a singer or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And so I don't know. It was like I had good moments where my friends were like, "Oh, this is cool. She's doing the singing thing." I mean, I definitely wasn't doing, what I'm doing now back then, but I was still,
Right.
singing at some Opries or some festivals or entering singing competitions and stuff. And so it was a little bit hard because some of the kids were just, I mean, kids are mean. They're still mean.
Right. Right.
So
And those are probably the ones that couldn't carry a tune in a covered bucket.
yes, it's exactly the ones.
So they were jealous that you could sing, period, let alone that you were doing it out. So,
Yes.
uh, you know, but uh, was there ever a time where you felt like in those early years that, I mean, you just really weren't going to pursue this as a career so much?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you from the time I was probably 3 or 4 years old, I have videos of I made my grandparents sit in the living room, and I would sing Shania Twain or the Dixie Chicks, and I would put on a concert for them, and they had to clap for me and cheer for me, and, I always wanted to be a singer, from the time I was 4 years old until, whenever, but
Right.
then when I was around, 18 years old, I had a full ride to college. I was actually smart too, and I had a full ride to college. And then I met this guy, and then we decided to get married and have kids. And so, and during that time, it was. I mean, I was being a mom, and I mean, I'm still a mom, obviously, but during
No,
that
that never
time,
changes.
yeah, and that really doesn't ever change. And so I kind of it wasn't really my choice, kind of my choice, but kind of not my choice. That's a whole nother story for another time. It's actually my new single
Right.
coming out. But I couldn't go and do the things that I wanted to do. I couldn't go and sing and do shows and stuff. So for about 4 or 5 years, I guess from the time I was 18 until I was about 22 or 23, I did very few things, very very few, shows or anything. And then after that, we actually got a divorce, and I started really, picking up the guitar again and trying to make myself be better at the guitar because I've always kind of struggled with that. I can't do all the fancy stuff, but I can. I'm pretty decent now, where I can play pretty much whatever I want to play, which is good. But it took a really
Right.
long time to be able to do that, and so I finally got back into it around 22, 23, and then I guess probably a lot more the past 5 years, probably 5 or 6 years. So, um, but yeah, I don't remember what the question was now that I went on that. Now that I went on that whole rant, I guess I did. I took some time, and I
Right.
singing wasn't in my plans at the time, because of different circumstances that I was going through. So,
And when
um,
you say picked up the guitar again, after your divorce, was that
mhm.
kind of a way that you were getting emotions out about that and stuff?
um, yes and no. I think it was mainly for me because that was something that I wanted to do, and I
Mm.
hadn't really been able to do a whole lot of, that I wanted to do in those few years. So I think it was more for me to just prove to myself that I could do this and I can pick up the guitar and I could get better at it. And I did, and I succeeded at it. And so it took a few years, but I pushed through it. All the hurt fingers and the, not having any calluses there for a little bit. That's people that play the guitar, they know that how that is.
Right, absolutely. It's like you can't play if you don't have those callous fingers. It's like,
Mhm.
people think, "Oh, wow, you're a blue collar worker." Well, no, I'm not. I'm a musician.
Yes. Exactly.
And I don't know if there's a lot of difference in that or not, but um, so do you remember the first song that you ever wrote?
Oh my goodness. I thought you were gonna say that I ever like played on the guitar, and I know that one. I'm trying to think of man. I really don't know if I don't remember. I know it was awful. I know it was terrible because I don't even know what it is. I'm sure I probably have it somewhere on a piece of paper somewhere in my stuff, but I
Right.
couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you for the life of me because I kind of just now the past probably 4 years or so really got more into songwriting and have really kind of been going after that more. I used to do a
Right.
lot more covers and stuff, which I still love to throw some covers in here and there. But I guess probably the past 3 or 4 years, I've really focused on my songwriting, and it really has paid off with several things that I've been doing lately. But it took a long time. It doesn't come naturally for me to write a song, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
so if it didn't come so natural, what were the struggles that you felt whenever you were trying to write that kind of kept it from being that way?
I think one of the biggest things was for me to be vulnerable. Because it's easy to write. I mean, for me, it's easy to write a song that have kind of like been through or something, but to really sit down and write a song about something that was super personal that happened, or that was really hard. Like for instance, it took a really long time. I wanted to write my grandparents a song, and it took me several years for real, like starting and stopping. And I have a recording where I was trying to write it, and I would just start crying, like in the recording. Stuff like that. That's super emotional. Is really hard to put down on paper. It's hard to say how you
Right.
feel sometimes, and I think is my biggest I guess setback when it comes to writing. Is it's hard for me to be vulnerable, but I think I'm getting a little better at it. I've got a couple of them. I finally finished my grandparents song, and then I have another song that I'm going to be recording pretty soon. That's actually about my ex-husband, so
Oh,
that'll be a good one. Because
uh-oh.
it's not mean. It's just for anyone out there that's ever been told they couldn't do something and they couldn't be someone that they wanted to be. It's
Right.
called Never. And so I think it's an inspirational song, I think. I've played it at several shows now, and I've had at least a couple people come up to me and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is my song. Like, I lived this." So it's really cool to write a song that someone else can relate to.
Right. I thought maybe it was like a Taylor Swift type of song,
Oh, no,
one of
no,
those
no. No.
rip them up
No.
and throw them away songs.
No, it's not. It's not too bad. It's just kind of being stronger from what you've
Right.
been through. So, yeah. I'm
Right.
excited for it.
So we talked a little bit earlier. I mean, when you first came on, and you talked about some of the people that you listened to, but who would you say were some of your influences in music?
Mm. So I think my biggest one, the queen of country music in my eyes, is Loretta Lynn.
Hmm.
I love her. I love her music. I think though more current, um, I really, man, it's hard. So I don't really listen to a whole lot of the newer country that's out because I kind
Right.
of have an old soul, and I like my Tammy Wynette and Loretta Lynn and Ray Price and Merle Haggard stuff.
Right.
And so when I hear something that kind of reminds me of that, I think a little bit of Carly Pierce's stuff kind of has that
Mhm.
old feel to it a little bit. And then Lainey Wilson's killing it. She's
Oh
obviously
yeah.
stepping out of the normal, like you should do this and this and this. She's kind of doing her own thing, which I think
Right.
is awesome. She's killing it. But yeah, I would say Loretta Lynn, Patty Loveless, Patsy Cline. I mean, they're my biggest inspirations in music for sure.
Right. Right. Lainey is kind of one of those that not only in her music, but she's kind of setting a fashion trend for country
Yes,
music women.
yes, she is. I saw oh, what is it? The Bell Bottoms or something. There was a
Yes.
video, and there was a guy that was
Is
in
that the
my
one with
was it
Tracy
Cole?
Lawrence in it?
Or yeah, I think it was Tracy Lawrence
And
and maybe Cole
Joe
Swindell or
Swindell was
something.
in there.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
it was the funniest. Oh, it was so funny.
Yeah, I saw that video too, and the funny thing is, I was talking to some people from Tracy Lawrence's camp after that, and one of them had text Tracy because he wasn't. This was in a group of radio people down in Nashville, and he wasn't there, but he did message the guy back and said those were actually her bell bottoms.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome. I watched that and it was just the funniest thing. And then her sitting there
Yeah.
being different people's, talking around the table or whatever. Like, I mean, she needs
Yes.
an acting career too with her singing career she's got going on.
Oh yeah, yeah. She was great when she was doing that. It was amazing, and to see that, where we were, it was just great. Um, when now you talked about your grandparents, you've talked about your divorce and your ex-husband and things like that. But
Mhm.
normally, where are you getting your inspiration for songs?
I mean, it really just kind of depends on the song. I do a lot of co-writing. I've written, a couple of songs by myself, but for the most part, I really do like to sit down and co-write with people. And I've got a couple of co-writers that, um, when you find some people that you can co-write really well with, it's you kind of stay like in that area, I guess. And I have been venturing out and writing with a few other people too, but I wrote some really great songs with Tammy Marler is one of them, and then Brian Jeffries was my single I released last year. But I mean, we kind of sit down and most of the time someone either already has like an idea or a melody or something, or a few words or verses written down, and we kind of just go from there. And a lot of times we add in personal experiences in the song. Like my latest single, Redneckin', is a lot of my husband, and then a lot of her husband because he was the computer guy. And so we just kind of threw those things together. So it's pretty much just someone already has an idea, or we sit there and come up with something that I don't know. We wrote a song, a weird song that we were like, it didn't even go together really. And then we were like, oh, it does go together. So I had this idea and she had these words and I had this verse and we threw it together. So I don't know. It's the writing process is different, I think, for everyone, but that's kind of
Right.
what we do when we write. So.
Right. Now, with the songs that you've written, and you're talking kind of about, how there's no, I don't want to say you're saying there's no rhyme or reason when you're writing,
Mhm.
but what is unique about your music in particular that draws people to it in your eyes?
Oh, that's tough. Um, I don't really know. I mean, a lot of people listen to my stuff either because they know me or they've heard of me, I guess. But I think for the most part, a lot of people can relate to my stuff. I mean, in my opinion, I might be wrong on this, but I feel like if you can't relate to a song, then I don't know. If I can't relate to a song that I'm listening to on the radio, it's like, okay, that's a good song, But if I can hear a song that I'm like, oh my gosh, like I relate to that song,
Right.
Carly Pierce, Every Little Thing, stuff
Hmm.
like that. Like when you relate to a song, it just makes it that much more meaningful, I guess. And I feel like a lot of my stuff people can relate to, and a lot of people have told me that they can it's not completely old school country, and I'm trying not to go pop with my stuff. I'm kind of trying to be like in the middle and kind of bring in, both worlds a little bit. But I feel like people can hear the traditional country music and can kind of feel like where I grew up, I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
Right.
That's tough.
So, I mean, if you're talking about, it's relatable and stuff, do you go in with the intent of doing that? I mean, when you go in to write songs, is the first thought in your mind, I want this to be something that everybody can, or a majority of people can relate to? Or do you just say, I'm going to go in and write a song and see what happens? Kind of that throw it on the wall and see what sticks.
I think for me, I want people to be able to relate to the song, but at the same time, I'm also a little selfish because most of the time when I go and write a song, I think almost every song that I've put out, is somewhat true, or like I've somewhat lived it in one way or another, or if it's a song that someone else has wrote that I want to record, I like that there's something in that song that's drawn me to that song that I can put
Right.
myself in that song, or I've lived it or whatever. So I think I'm a little selfish too, because I relate to the song, so I feel like if I do, like, maybe other people will. I mean, I definitely want everyone to be able to relate to the song, but there's gonna be people that are like, "I have no idea what she's talking about," you know? I haven't lived that.
Right.
And so then in that instance, I just hope that they can still, enjoy the song, even though they may not relate to it. They're like, "Oh, yeah, this is a good song," you know?
Yeah.
Hopefully, I don't ever have to go through what she went through or something, you know? It was one of those, so
Right. Do you like to balance between the fun songs and the serious songs, or do you just kind of um, gravitate to one or the other, or is it just kind of
man.
a open season?
Man, so I have a problem of I like the slower stuff, or the mid tempo. I don't have a whole lot of upbeat songs. I'm getting there. I am getting there. I'm making myself because it's just so much easier to write a slower song. I don't know. I don't know what it is. For me, it's just easier to write a slower song. I'm not very good at the upbeat songs. Um, but I'm making myself, because that's what one place where I struggle is writing upbeat songs. So I definitely
Right.
gravitate towards the slower ballad songs. And plus my voice, or my vocal range or whatever, I like
Mhm.
you hit those higher notes and stuff, in the slower songs. And there's not too many upbeat. I mean, there are, I guess, but I can't write them yet. So
Right.
I'm still working on those.
Do you feel like that's a part of the Texas music scene? Because I mean, one of the big things about people that listen and I'm not saying just Texas. I'm not talking like Red Dirt or
Hmm.
anything like that, but Texas is, and I've said this before when I've interviewed artists that were, based out of Texas. Texas is kind of its own genre, you know. It's country, but it leans more to the traditional as opposed to the
Hmm.
pop or the middle of the road. But the thing with people in Texas that listen to music, they love to dance.
Yes, they do.
So
And that's like the biggest thing, I think, in like the Texas country scene. Because I'm a part of the Texas Country Music Association, TCMA, here in Texas. And that's like, I mean, that's what you do when you come to Texas. You go out and you go to the stockyards, or you go to Southern Junction or Silver Saloon, and you want to dance. People want to dance. And so you've
right,
got to have, and I mean, there are good slow songs you can dance to, but for the most part, it's the upbeat Randy Rogers, Wade Bowen,
right.
Stoney LaRue stuff that you hear, and people want to dance. And so that's kind of I am working on that more, for a couple of songs that I'm going to be releasing pretty soon, to have that Texas country feel. Like it's like a Randy Rogers with Wade Bowen. I'm in the process of writing a song that kind of has that feel to it, because I mean, like you said, that's what it is. In Texas, that's kind of what people do. They want to go out and they want to go dance, and if they can't dance to it, then most of the time they don't like it, to be honest. Because I remember
Right.
back in the day, I would go dancing, and if I couldn't dance to the song, I'm like, what are they doing? Like, play something else. Like, play something I can dance to, So I kind of see where that goes too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that one of our viewers, who is a friend of mine out of Florida, I was just thinking this when you said that, and he said, if you're going to play in Texas, you know, and that's so true. I mean, if you're going to play in Texas, you better be able to write a song that can, get people up on the floor and dancing. And whether it's, you know, um, back in my younger years when I played in a band, whether it's the polish your belt buckle songs or a little bit faster two steps or whatever, you
Hmm.
got to be able to do that. So, and I think that's one of the things. What is one song that you have heard throughout the years that you go, man, I wish I would have written that song?
Oh gosh. Okay, so that would have to be, it's actually the first song that I ever learned how to play on the guitar. My dad taught me, and I like 99.9% of the time I play this song at every single show I've ever played. And that is Keith Whitley, When You Say Nothing at All. It's a killer song. I mean, you can dance to it. It's a love song. People, I mean, no one can tell me that they don't like that song. And you can't tell me that you don't like Keith Whitley. Like something's wrong with you.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
It's kind of
that's my
like
favorite.
the TikTok video. If you don't like Keith Whitley, I don't want it.
Exactly. Gosh, man.
It's just done. The guy was, oh man, oh golly, that just brings back some amazing stuff. So before we get into some more questions, I want to take a quick break here, about 3 minutes or so,
Mhm.
and I want to play your newest song. Then we're going to come back and talk about it. The title of the song is called Redneckin', and we'll find out more about the backstory and all that here in just a minute. So bear with us. We'll be back to do that in 30 seconds.
B4Nashville is proudly sponsored by Go-Go Tuners, the go-to tuner for professional and amateur musicians. Get your Go-Go Tuner at gogotuners.com. By Heart to Heart Coffee, the coffee that gives back. Find out more at heart2heartcoffee.com. By Sibby's Apparel, worn by heroes, made with respect. Order yours at sibby'sapparel.com. And by Three Rangers Whiskey, not for the weak or faint-hearted. 3rangers.com.
They say Prince Charming comes in a suit and tie. Take it to the nicest places every Friday night. Buy you a diamond ring and pretty things and a love that might be nice. I just can't see myself as a trophy wife. I prefer redneck into Gina wearing country boy kind of life. Hard working can fix what's broken, hangs out on a Saturday night with his long neck in his lawn chair. Out in the middle of nowhere, with him is where I'm supposed to be. Out there rednecking. These days they tell you to find a computer guy. He's gonna make you $1 million if you just give him time. You'll have the latest cell phone, smart TVs, and gamers over every night. I just can't see myself spending that much time inside. I prefer rednecking, blue jean, wearing country boy kind of life. Hard working can fix what's broken, hangs out on a Saturday night with his long neck in his lawn chair, out in the middle of nowhere. With him is where I'm supposed to be. Out there rednecking. I'm a firm believer that money can't buy happiness, and that one flirty text won't replace the one good long kiss. I prefer rednecking, blue jean, wearing country boy kind of life. Hard working can fix what's broken, hangs out on a Saturday night with his long neck in his lawn chair, out in the middle of nowhere. With him is where I'm supposed to be. With him I know I'm supposed to be. Out there rednecking. Hey, rednecking.
All right, that was Billie Jo and her song called Redneck. And I got to say, we talked earlier, that's kind of a fun little song. I mean, that was one that was, kind of exciting. You could play it out when you're, mud bogging or whatever. It came across
Mhm.
very well. So that one kind of actually went against what you were saying earlier, that you hadn't been able to really write those songs, or you hadn't been able to get as many of them. Maybe that's more of where you were coming.
Yes.
It's a very good song.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I
You're
think
well.
that's my second. Well, it's my second fast song. I have 5 or 6
Right.
songs out. And I think that's like my second fast one that I have out. So I'm trying to get a few more of those, but we'll see. We'll see if we can get them out there.
You'll make it. I promise you'll make it. So what's the backstory on Redneck, and where did it come from? The idea, and was it a co-write? Did you write it with somebody else, or did you write it
Yes.
solo?
It was a co-write. So actually, some backstory. Here's some truth and honesty here for this song. My co-writer Tammy Marler came to me with this song, and she pretty much had almost the whole song. Like she pretty much had
Mhm.
almost all of it. And she's like, I think you do really well with this song. You should record it and release it, and I listened to it, and or she played it for me, and we started working on it. And so I kind of went through and changed a few things here and there to kind of fit me better for the song. But she pretty much had the song, and I kind of went through and changed a few sentences here and there and made it my own.
Mhm.
And changed a little bit of the bridge and stuff that was in it. But it's definitely so her husband is, it says in the second verse, I looked at my lyrics, I wouldn't mess them up, but it says today they tell you to find a computer guy. He's going to make you $1 million if you just give him time. And her husband is actually the tech. Like, I mean, he makes pretty good money. Nothing wrong with that, being a computer guy.
Right.
But I'm over here singing about my redneck husband or whatever, pretty much. Which he's not a redneck, but kind of. And so he used to be a, what is that, calf roper or something? I don't know. I don't know all the terms for that. It's
Right.
so funny because his daughter, my stepdaughter, she's 7, and to be honest, we wrote this song probably before. I think it was before I ever met him, and
Mhm.
but the song just became about him, I guess. And his daughter swears, she's like, "You wrote this song about my dad. I just know you wrote this song about my dad." And I'm like, "Yes, I did. Yeah." So I just tell her that I did. So it kind of worked out. It worked out in the long run, I guess.
Oh man, that's good though. That's really good. I wanted to kind of go over your laundry list here real quick. As soon as I
Hmm.
can pull it back up, I've got it somewhere. But where we were, we talked earlier about some of the people. Now here's some of the things. You have shared the stage with Gene Watson, Linda Davis, Barbara Fairchild, the Oak Ridge Boys, some of the most amazing people in the world right there.
Hmm.
And that's just a few of them. And then you've gotten into kind of more the current folks like Justin Moore, personal favorite of mine, Wade Bowen, I love, Cody Canada, Joe Stampley, Chris Colston, Pat Green, Stoney LaRue, Roger Krager, Sam Riggs. And I mean, that is not a very short laundry list. That is actually the condensed version because there's a lot
Hmm.
more.
Yes.
But I mean, out of all those people that you have opened for or shared a stage with, who do you feel is the one that maybe gave you the best advice when it came to the music industry, or did they even give you advice when it came to the music industry?
Oh man, that's a tough one. So I mean, all of them have been great. I mean, of course, there's obviously a few more that were either a little bit more talkative or kind of had more to say. But um, I mean, I'd probably say that Wade Bowen was one of the most sincere, down to earth. Was genuinely like interested in you know why I started singing or where I came from or what I was doing kind of thing. I've opened for him about probably 3 times now. And actually it's crazy. His guitar player actually has played on my last 3 singles that I've put out. And
Oh,
he's phenomenal. But I think Wade Bowen was probably one of the most genuine, sincere guys that I've met. I mean, he's obviously a super big family person, and
mhm.
I guess he understood where I come from on that end of it as well. But I love meeting him, and I'm hoping we'll get to do some more shows together in the future.
maybe a duet or something somewhere
Oh
along the
man,
line?
I would love
Collaboration?
that. I see all these people coming out with all these duets, and I'm like,
Uh-huh.
me, hello, I would love
Yeah,
to like sing with you.
I'll collab with you.
um,
I got no problem.
yes, yeah. Can you just send me a song? We'll get it done, or let's write one. Either one.
Right. Absolutely. Now, and I mean, you've also had a little bit of a connection with Shania Twain. You were on a TV show called Real
I
Country
did.
uh, that was filmed in Nashville.
Yes, that was what is this? 2022. So that was, gosh, it's already been like 3 years. I think it's probably been about 3 years since I was on that show.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it was Shania Twain, Jake Owen, and Travis Tritt.
Right.
And I got to be in Nashville for about a month filming that, and wound up being top 14
Oh,
on that show, and it
good.
was awesome. It was a really
Mhm.
cool experience. And I'm gonna tell you right now, the guy that beat me out of making top 7, I mean, I don't hold anything against him because he's kind of a big deal now, but Larry Fleet is the guy that beat me out on the TV show, and I just love him. I love him to pieces.
Yeah.
And right now, I just saw that he's headlining his first ever tour.
Right.
So
Right.
I mean, hands down, like I,
Yeah.
I don't mind losing to him one bit. He's incredible. So
Yeah. The first time I heard, where was it? Where I Find God.
yes,
Oh
oh
my
my
word.
gosh,
I like
such a
pulled
good song.
over because I didn't want
Yes,
to miss any of it,
that
and I thought,
song makes you do that. That's a
yeah.
killer song. Such a good
Yeah,
song.
and I don't know the backstory on that. I don't know if Larry wrote it or somebody else wrote it and gave it to him or a
Hmm.
co-writer, whatever. But man, his voice on that song is just amazing,
Yep.
and it's such a super good song. And I had to think because up until you mentioned that Shania, Jake, and Travis were the judges on that, I
Hmm.
watched that show, and I probably saw you on there. But quite honestly, I did miss episodes here and there because I unfortunately don't have the kind of life that I can sit down and watch TV constantly. I try.
Hmm. Yes, I hear
I
that.
try to buck the system, but and then the bills show up. So I have to go to work and stuff like that. But you've also, I mean, you've been on American Idol, you've been on The Voice, and and is this is something I've always wondered because even with Real Country, is the process of becoming a contestant on each of those shows pretty much the same?
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
So let's start out with, so the first TV show I was on was The Voice, and that was
Mhm.
back in 2014. And that, I mean, they treat you like royalty, like you're a star. Even though you're not, they treat you like you are one, and they do your hair, their your makeup. They help you pick out what to wear, or they give you something to wear.
Mhm.
And that was a really cool experience getting to be there. And you had vocal coaching, you had stage coaching, and the downside is, spoiler alert, they do pick your song for you that you're going to do your blind audition with. So they do pick whatever song they want you to sing. And so no one turned for me whenever I was on the show. But I mean, I would love to go do that one again. That would be
Right.
one that I would love to do again. Now, Real Country, that's kind of the same thing, except the auditions for Real Country was more kind of like a private thing. I had a manager at the time, and he got me into the auditions for the TV show that happened in Lindale. They held some auditions in Lindale, and I got picked to be on the show along with
Okay.
Riley Thompson, which was, she actually wound up going to American Idol after that show and was like top 10, or I don't remember what she was. So that was kind of like a more of a closed audition type thing. Then you have American Idol. That, nothing against American Idol, whoever's watching, but I was not made for that at all. Now I'm too old to even do it, but I think you have to, it's
Right.
like 29 and under to be on the show. But that was just a lot. You don't get any sleep. You're constantly up, and it's, I don't know. I was not made for that. I like
A
my
lot
sleep
more.
every now and then.
It just sounds like
It's
it's a lot more
it's pretty
grueling.
gruesome. It really
Yeah.
is.
Hey,
Really
I
is.
tell you, I wouldn't do well if I didn't get my sleep because I mean, if Lou Bryan gave me a bad review, he and I are going outside and we're throwing down. That's just over. If I'm tired,
Yes,
I'm grumpy, you know. And it's like,
exactly.
well, you know, you don't look so hot in them tight fitting jeans, buddy. So
Yeah.
you know,
That's so funny.
you need to get rid of your wife's jeans and wear you some Levi's. Put you some
Mhm.
Wranglers or something. So sorry, Luke.
That's so funny.
Oh, but
That's funny.
now you, I mean, and after being that, I mean, it's being on those shows. It is an experience, of course,
Yeah.
and you know, and you talked about like you know Larry beating you out on Real Country, which I
Mhm.
mean, like I said, the guy's just phenomenal. I
He
mean, he
is.
really is.
He's amazing.
Um, if I was to look at your phone, like your playlist, what are the top 10 songs that you're listening to right now?
Oh, let's just look here. This might be scary. Uh, well, we don't want to go into my search thing there because my kids make me listen to Drake, the clean version, obviously, of Drake. They
Yes,
like to that or Juice World. I don't know what that is. So let's
I
see.
mean,
Right now, I've got Randy Rogers, Wade Bowen, Sarah Hobbs, Caitlin Butts. Um, well, Dale Watson's on here because I may be doing a show with him pretty soon. So I was creeping on some of his stuff because I knew his songs, but I couldn't think what they were. Caitlin Smith, I'm actually obsessed. I hadn't heard of her, apologize, until like last week. Somehow a friend
oh
of mine
wow.
sent me one of her songs, and I was like, oh my gosh, where's this girl been? Because I mean,
Hmm.
this is why girls kind of get a bad rep. When people are like, "Oh, I'm just really picky with girl singers or whatever," and I'm like, "Why? Like, why do people say that?" But then I literally say it too. I'm like, "I'm really picky with my female singers." Like, there's some people I'm like, "No, I don't really want to listen to your stuff," and then there's some people like, "Oh my gosh, like Caitlin Smith is amazing." I did a show with Adara Kay, so her stuff's on here. Adam Hood, he's one of my favorites. Loretta Lynn, Conway Twitty. I'm all over the place on
Yeah,
my Spotify thing I've got going on. Cody Johnson,
that's all
I'm
right.
obsessed with him as well.
We have a friend that lives in Texas, and I'm going to butcher this. I really, Chad, if you're there, please forgive me. I think it is Springtown. Is it Springtown, Texas? Springville, Texas?
Uh,
Something like that.
I'm not sure.
I just asked
Maybe.
my wife last night, so that shows you my attention span. I can't even remember it tonight. But he looks like Cody Johnson. I mean,
Oh my gosh.
he is like Cody Johnson's twin brother.
Oh my
And
gosh.
you know, we went and we were in Nashville and saw like a some display they had, you know, touting Cody Johnson and took a picture and sent it to him. And then we actually saw Cody play and sent that to him and said, "Does Kelly know you're here?" And we gave him a hard time like that all the time. But yeah,
That's so
he's a
funny.
cool guy. Um, so let's move from that into some fun questions. I mean, I
Okay.
like to keep it kind of lighthearted, and I've got a few here to ask. So when you're getting ready for a show,
Mm-hmm.
what takes you the longest? Your hair, your makeup, your wardrobe, your mental prep. You know what's the thing that just you have to start way early to get done?
Um, to be honest, I'm awful at this is why I always say like I want to be, a big star or be famous so people can do my makeup all the time because I can't do it. So therefore I don't really try a whole lot like I should. The
Mhm.
biggest thing that for me is my wardrobe because I if I took you in there to show you my closet right now, which I'm not going to do because it's really bad. There's clothes everywhere and I have a really bad habit and my grandma would probably hit me with a hairbrush or something. And I leave closet doors open. You see, actually, you can see. Wait, I'm back. Wait, that you see that drawer back there? Wait, over there.
Right.
See that drawer? That's mine. It's out. So I leave drawers open. I leave doors open. I leave closet doors open. I take things off the hangers and I don't put them back up. And I will put on. I'm telling you, 10 outfits before I probably put on the very first thing that I tried on in the first place. So definitely wardrobe. wardrobe is it for me. And I have no sense of style. So luckily I have friends. There's a small boutique here in town called the Salty Bronc. Shout out to Cody Jane. And she's like, here, put this on, put this on, put this on, and then you're good. So she like gives me outfits all the time because I'm the worst.
I feel your pain. It's like, guys can get by with it. We just throw on a t-shirt and a pair of jeans, and
I'll be like yelling at him, like, we're leaving here in 5 minutes. He's like, don't tell me that. Tell yourself that. Like, you're the one. I'm going to put on some jeans and a shirt and maybe, put a hat on because he's got this curly mullet thing he's doing these days. And it takes him a whole 5 seconds now to get ready. And then I'm still not ready. I'm late. I'm probably going to be late everywhere that I go, to be honest. I am. Just ask my band. My band's like, I tell my guys, be there at 5:30, show starts at 8, so we'll have enough time, and I'll roll up at 6:30. So it's a fun time. And they grab at me.
They just come to expect it.
They take bets. They're like, well, how late is she going to be this time? 15 minutes, 30 minutes. And I've seen them like give each other money on winning these bets and stuff that they have. Or if I love changing the set list. If I make a set list, I like to change the set list, and they have bets on that too. So.
Well, and speaking of set list, you mentioned earlier about doing covers. What's your favorite cover song to do?
Oh man, that's tough. Gosh. Well, I introduced my band to when we're playing a Waylon Jennings song. Are You Sure Hank Done It This Way? So it's a super fun, upbeat. I change it. It's not like, I don't do like he does it. I kind of copied my friend Bailey Ray. She was on The Voice, top 6, I think, 6 or 7 on The Voice. And I kind of copied how she did it. And then ever since then, my guys and I play it, and it's just a fun song. It's a fun song to jam out to. And I introduce all the guys, and they get to show off a little bit. And it's different, but yet people still know, oh, hey, this is a Waylon Jennings song. So, yeah.
Right. Well, what would you say is your most embarrassing stage moment? This is always a fun one.
There's been some bad ones. Let's see. One time I was in a singing competition, and all they had were our names and like the song we were singing. And they introduced me as Mr. Billie Jo. So I was a boy when I walked on stage. Then I was so frazzled by the fact that I got introduced as Mr. that I fell up the stairs, like walking onto the stage. So that was a fun time. And then when was the other one that I don't even know. I'm kind of clumsy every now and then. So it's probably me falling or tripping over a cord or unplugging something on accident, which I've done that before. But yeah, I guess the biggest thing was just falling up the stairs. Like who does that? Who falls going up the stairs? But
well, there are other artists that have done that, and I won't say any names, but his initials could be Luke Bryan.
I literally was about to say that. I was like, didn't Luke Bryan completely fall off the stage, like into the crowd or something like that? That went around TikTok several times. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Several times. I think I don't remember if it was him, but fell into like one of the rails, like where they had it and, like they had a space between the stage and the crowd, and he fell and hit one of the rails. I think it was him.
Oh my gosh.
And I've seen like one of the guys from Old Dominion was doing something, and they were actually playing. I mean, he's got his guitar in his hand, and he just falls flat on his back. He's like he was trying to get up on the drum riser or something and slipped off and fell. I mean, luckily.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, I've seen a lot of those. And Luke, I call him the clumsiest guy in country radio or country music because he
I can
falls
see
all
that
the
for
time.
sure.
If somebody came up to you and said, "Hey, I really want to get into country music," what's one piece of advice that you would give them?
Well, for me personally, I've actually had several people ask me, younger, like the younger generation coming up. There's probably 3 or 4 girls, honestly, that are probably 12, between the ages of 10 and 14, that are trying to do the singing thing. And I keep telling them, just get on stage as much as you can and sing as much as you can with whoever you can, whoever will let you. Like for me, I let several people come and open for me at my shows, like the younger girls. When I played at
Right.
Leavenworth Plano, and I play a big venue in Hunt, Texas, in like the Hill Country, and I've got a girl that's about 12 years old. She's going to come out there and sing, and that's a pretty good crowd. It's probably 500 people or so
Wow.
at that one, and so I'm all about trying to help other people, and I mean, the more they can get on stage, the more exposure they can get, and the more comfortable they can get on stage. I honestly didn't have a whole lot of stage presence until, I got older. I was actually pretty shy when it came to being on stage. Like I could sing all day long, but moving around, it took a lot for me. I think the voice really helped. I had a vocal coach. Her name's Trelawney. If I butchered that, I'm sorry. And I actually got to work with her again. She was on Real Country, and so she really helped me with my vocal stuff, and then stage presence as well. And the more you can get on stage, the more you can perform, the more comfortable that you can get on stage is going to make all the difference in the world. And don't wait until you're 20 something years old like me to really work on playing the guitar, or how to move around on stage and stuff, because I wish I'd done a little bit more of that, and not had been so shy, I guess, when I was younger. But
Right.
just sing as much as you can, and chase your dreams, no matter if you are just the star of your hometown, or if you get to be a little bit bigger. If it's something that you love, it shouldn't matter where you end up. As long as you're doing what you love, that's all that matters. So
Right. Now, you were talking about like younger girls and giving them advice on coming up. And here a few years ago, there was a huge debate in um, country music about women
mhm.
and them, getting airplay and stuff like that. And it's kind of like, and even now, even after that, Tomato Gate is what they called it, because the gentleman that said it, he was a radio consultant and likened the female artist to being like tomatoes on a salad. Your guys are kind of your lettuce and your base, and then you got the tomatoes sprinkled on top, and that's kind of the way he
Yeah.
programs stations and stuff. And do you feel like that is still something that's going on, and is that something that's kind of prevalent in even the Texas scene a little bit, where the women don't get as much recognition, and so you're kind of being that catalyst for more females to get into it?
Yes. 100% agree. I think it's getting a little bit better, I think, than what it was. Um, but it's still, I mean, female artists it's a lot harder for us to have airplay. It's a lot harder for us to get in some venues. I've had a couple of venues. It's like, well, you're a really good singer, but if you had another guy singer in your band, then I'd probably hire y'all. But I really just only like guy singers at my venue. So I've been told that a couple of times, which sometimes I get. But at the same time, it's like, us gals can put on one heck of a show, just like the guys can. And I know for me personally, I throw in a bunch of guy stuff, guy
Mhm.
songs. Randy Rogers, I do Wade Bowen, I do Merle Haggard,
Right.
George Jones, Hank Williams, and so I think it's getting a little better, but it's hard. It's harder for us. Not trying to play the, woe is me card, because it's not what it is. We are just a lot more
Right.
determined and a lot more hard headed if we're told no. I think so. It may help us out in the long run. But it's hard. It's harder to get on festivals. I've been honored to play a couple of them, but I want to play on more. And you
Right.
don't, to be honest, you don't see very many females out there on, at festivals, or on the big lineups and stuff. You see
Right.
guy, one female, guy, maybe another female. Like it just kind of depends on where it is. But for sure in the Texas country scene, I mean, the guys are still kind of the top dog, I think, which I mean, I really don't have a problem with, because I love my guy singers. I love them. And there's some female singers I'm like, I don't I wouldn't really listen to you. I don't know if I'd pay to hear you sing, and that's just me being picky, I guess, and I guess a lot of people are kind of like that, and that's why it's a little bit harder for us females. But when you get people out there like Caitlin Butts right now, that is absolutely taking the bull by the horns and doing her own thing and being her own person and absolutely killing it. Her latest album is incredible. She's definitely a role model to look up to, that she's just doing what she wants to do and being the person she wants to be. And she's not letting anyone stop her. And she's doing awesome with it. Same thing with
Yeah.
Bree Bagwell. She's killing it out there in the Texas country scene.
Oh, yeah.
And so, those are, and Kylie Fry. I mean, those are just girls that I look up to that I'm like, if I can just kind of get where they are, I'd be good. I mean, I'm good right now where I'm at too. I'm doing really well with my music and stuff, but you always have those goals and steps that you want to keep taking, and to kind of better yourself as a performer and an artist, and just keep writing good songs. And so, yeah, but to answer your question, I do think it's still pretty tough for us gals, but I think
Right.
slowly but surely we're getting somewhere. And I think girls like Caitlin Butts and Kylie Fry and Bree Bagwell are kind of paving the way on the Texas side of things. So
Right. I'm really shocked that a venue would tell you, we don't really like females. I mean, it's like,
he really did. He straight up said that, and I won't say who it is because I'm just not that
no,
person.
no,
But it's just, I just kind of was like, I didn't know what to do. Like I
yeah,
wasn't rude, or I didn't laugh, or I was just like, oh, okay, well, it's understandable. Thank you so much for your time, whatever.
yeah.
But yeah,
But in the back of your mind, you're
it's crazy.
going, it's understandable, but you're kind of a jerk.
Yes, it's exactly what I said in my head too. And it just kind
Uh,
of blew my mind, and I went and my husband was there, but I think he'd stepped away or something, and I went and told him, and he was like, "Are you serious?" And I was like,
mhm.
"Yeah." I was like, "You just said that," and he's like, "Wow." I was like, "Yeah, I know."
Good grief. Yeah. I'm just, I mean, seriously, I'm just like blown away by that. That is so crazy. I would never
Mhm.
imagine anybody saying anything like that.
Yeah.
Um, so if you could have dinner with one artist, whether they're, um, you know, well, let's say one artist that's passed, that's no longer with us, who would that artist be? And what would your conversation with them be about?
Oh man, that is tough. Um, let's see. I'm trying to think. There's a few that's running through my mind. I don't know. I mean, for me personally, like just because of the song that was the first song that I ever learned how to play, it'd be Keith Whitley. I just
Mm,
would love to sit down and talk to him and just kind of know, like, I don't know, kind of I personally would just kind of like to know like what was going through your head, and like what um
right,
where did all these songs come from? Like where did this one come from? Where did this one come from? And just kind of talk to him and ask him like how he got to be where he was,
right,
it's I know it was a really short time, I guess, really, for him. He just kind of came up and then was kind of gone, but still not gone because his songs obviously are carrying on, obviously.
oh
But
yeah,
I would love to just sit down and talk to him, and I just think it'd be really really cool deal to be able to talk to him about his songs and his career and his life. I love to hear about the backstories of people's lives and where they came from and why they were the way that they were. So that'd
right,
be really neat.
right. I always thought that um, Whiskey Lullaby was like a super prophetic song for him to do.
Hmm. Yeah.
When you think about it, and you look at it, and I don't know the inside the four walls of Keith and Lori's home, what happened, but it just seemed like that there's just something about it. Um, that just felt like he had some kind of inkling as to the way things were going to go. Um, all the way to the end of his life. I mean, he's an awesome. He was, he was an awesome singer
Yeah.
and such a good. I mean, honestly, I never got to meet him. I've met his son, Jesse, and I see what I feel like is a lot of Keith and Jesse. But a lot of it's that rebel side, because Jesse Keith's kind of got a little bit of that outlaw side, Um, but he's just always one of those that I wish I would have got the opportunity to meet him. He's just kind of like you. He's just one of those guys that you go, wow, okay. Um, what song is stuck in your head right now?
I've been obsessed with, I don't even know when this song came out. But I heard it one day and I was in the grocery store, a few weeks ago, and I had it on repeat like 30 times. And so when your streams went up, Randy Rogers and Wade Bowen, I'm the reason why. But the song is called Rhinestoned. It's country music's got me rhinestoned, and it has that old country feel, like Merle Haggard and, Waylon Jennings, Merle Haggard, it just has that old country feel that I love. And
Right.
it's just a killer song. And I actually am making my guys learn it because I've got a steel guitar player in my band, and he's phenomenal. And the song is it's a really good dance tune. I mean, people are going to love to dance to this song. And I don't think a lot of people are really going to realize that it is a Randy Rogers, Wade Bowen tune. Cause it wasn't like a big one for them. But it's a killer song. But yeah,
Wow. I'll have to check that one out. I haven't heard.
you got to listen to it. I don't even know when it came out. Probably won't tell me on here. No, it doesn't.
It seems like it's not been that long because I thought I read something about it somewhere, but it may have been farther back than what I'm thinking. I'm not sure. But I remember seeing something about it.
I don't even know how you tell that.
Justin
It doesn't even
Jones says
say.
it's on the latest album.
Oh, 2021 or 2020 maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, it hasn't been that long. But I've apparently just discovered it. So apparently I just now found it, and I've been obsessed with it, and I sent it to my guys, and they're supposed to be learning it before the next show. So hopefully they will.
Well, and that's, there are songs like that you don't discover right away, but then they just catch you
Uh-huh.
for whatever reason. And so, I mean, it's like, I've had songs like that where they just I'm just going, wow, how did I miss this?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Instead of and I'm not trying to be morbid here, but I'm going to put it this way, you're sitting on death row. You've committed a heinous crime of not matching your pants with your blouse or something like that. I don't know. But instead of a last meal, they give you a last song. Okay. And I know I've asked you a lot about the songs that you like and stuff, but what song would you pick to be your last song? The one song that is going to take you out of here, so to speak.
Any song, like not one that I've wrote, right? Like any song.
Yeah. Any song. Yeah.
Right. That would be How Great Thou Art. That's my all-time favorite song. I love singing it. Most of the time I'll throw it in at my shows. Even though I'm out there, playing a country bar or whatever, I'll still throw out some How Great Thou Art. And most of the time people love it. Well, I mean, everyone usually loves it. Most people aren't going to boo you on stage, hopefully.
Right.
Knock on wood, that doesn't ever happen to me. But and even if they did, I'd still sing it. I wouldn't care. But that's the whole reason that I'm here, and the whole reason that I get to live this awesome life and go and sing. I'm pretty much almost booked up every Thursday, Friday, Saturday from now through November, I think.
Wow.
And I mean, God gave me this voice, and I know He didn't give me this voice to just sit here at my house, because what fun is that to just sit here and sing to myself? I love to meet people and perform in front of a crowd, and I've got some really cool opportunities coming up. The Diamond Rio, I'm opening for Diamond Rio in June. So that's a big one.
Awesome. Love
I'm
it.
actually coming to Nashville. I don't think I told you that, but I'll be in Nashville, but not for, the reason that I wish it would be. I am going to play a couple of places. I got in with the Commodore Grill, I think is the name of it.
Yep.
It's a songwriting thing, and I'm going to do that.
Writers round.
Yeah, writers round. See, I don't in Texas, it's like I've got a gig, over at this
Right.
place, over at this venue or this room or whatever.
Right.
And then you go to Nashville and it's like this is a writers round or something. And
Right.
and so I've got to learn my, language and stuff. But
In Texas, they call them bonfires anyway. So
yes, that's true. And so I'm coming to Nashville because I surprised my best friend at Christmas, and her mom and I got her Justin Bieber tickets. I say that quietly because I don't want people to know that I kind of like Justin Bieber. I do, but no, I'm definitely not one of those. I'm not one of those. Now she is she went to his concert a few years ago and he was like breathing and she was like bawling. And I'm like, I don't think I could ever be obsessed with someone that much to do that. But she loves him. So we're having a little girls trip. There's 3 of us going to be going to Nashville. And I think I'm actually going to be doing, I think there's another writers round I'm working on maybe. So I wanted to try and find a few places while I'm there to kind of check out or go watch some other people. So I've been to Nashville a few times, but I think it'd be pretty cool.
there's some great writers rounds. Whiskey Jam, the listening room does a lot of good ones.
Yeah.
Cabana Taps, Belcourt Taps, they do some pretty good writers rounds and a lot of those are artists that you've never, and writers you've never really heard of. Possibly. I mean, some of them you have, but some of them you've not. And I think that's kind of cool, that they're exposing those artists that, kind of like I do with the podcast, kind of putting artists out there that they're not everyday names.
Yeah.
And you're not going to hear them on, 14 times from lunch to 5 o'clock on the local radio station. So,
well, we appreciate people like you for sure that kind of help get our names out there a little bit more because I really do appreciate it. Yeah.
So one final question. We're going to wrap it up with this one. Well, I got one more after this, but this is kind of that one's more about you and how folks can find you. But this one, somebody writes, you've got a Netflix documentary that comes out. All right. About you. Who is playing Billie Jo in this documentary?
Oh gosh. What do you mean? Like
who's going to star as you in this documentary, talking about your life and growing up, and then it gets into like the music, who's going to play the current you in this movie? I
gotcha. So like an artist that's already well known, or like an actress, or like
an actress.
Actress, probably Reese Witherspoon. She is actually. Did he really?
Yes.
That's so funny. Yeah, definitely Reese Witherspoon. She's actually my favorite actress. My daughter is actually named after her. It was Allie Reese is her name. So yeah, definitely Reese Witherspoon. I love her. Right. I want to meet her one day. I follow her on all her TikToks and all that kind of stuff she does. But yeah.
Well, she's a good one. I can tell you that. My wife loves her movies. I mean,
I do too. I don't think there's probably been one that I haven't seen. There probably is, but
I don't think so.
I feel like I
haven't. Sweet Home Alabama.
Oh yes.
That's like my wife's favorite. I think they had that on. It was kind of like a Hallmark movie weekend type deal where they just played it over and over and over. And I think we watched it like 4 times in a weekend.
I've seen that 800 times. And then when you're growing up, like you're like, oh my gosh, love is going to be like that. It's not. Yeah. Love is not like that. Like, and I'm married. I'm happily married, but like I can tell you right now, love is not like that.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Now maybe for my grandparents do have that amazing, never argued a day in their life love, and I
Uh-huh.
don't see how that's possible, but it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe for some
I,
people.
I, I can say this. I don't feel like my wife and I have ever argued. We've kind of had those moments where we've been irritated and it comes across in what we say to
Mhm.
each other, but we've never argued about anything other than I hate this question. And as married folks, I'm telling you, I am going to Congress about this and I'm going to have them outlaw this question. Honey, what do you want for dinner?
Oh, that's the worst question.
Because nobody knows.
What do
And I
you
just kind
want?
of I just tell her peanut butter and jelly, you know. It's like, I don't care, you know. It's the next question I ask is, "Are you cooking or am I picking it up?" That's the way I know when
See,
I'm having for dinner.
he needs to learn that question. He does. I mean, he does cook every now and then, but like tonight, it wasn't his fault. So a shout out to my babysitter, because she is the reason I get to go out on the road and do what I do, because she's watched my kids now for 6 years. Well, she actually lives with us, and
Okay.
she's my best friend too, but she's also my babysitter. And I made the mistake of asking her what she wanted for dinner tonight, thinking that it'd be, something normal like we have. No, she wanted chicken fried steak and fried squash and mashed potatoes. And I, cooked all of that earlier. And I think they're probably still in there cleaning it up, to be honest. But,
White
um,
pepper gravy, you know, gotta have all
and
the
I did make gravy from scratch for my first time today. It took me 31
Oh,
years to attempt that. And I called my grandma. I said, "Grandma, guess what I just did?" And she's like, "What? I can't even imagine. I can't keep up with what you're doing these days." And I was like, "I just made gravy from scratch." And she's like, "Well, that's good. That's about time, Only took me 31 years to do that.
you know,
Um,
the first time I did that, I bragged to my mom,
did you?
and
It's
and
like
the
an
next time I
accomplishment
did
as
it,
an adult.
she tried it, and she looked at me, and my mom, bless her heart, I mean, she's no longer with us. She was 4'11", and she had a loving heart, but a terrible attitude sometimes. And I did try, because I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna show her that I can do this." And I made white pepper gravy, and she goes, "What is this?"
Yeah, I
And
mean,
the next thing I thought she was gonna say was, "Is this wallpaper glue?" Because
oh
it
my
did not
gosh.
turn out very well.
Mine
Um,
turned out good until I accidentally forgot that I still had the stove on, and then it
oh,
kind of got a little bit more thicker than what it was supposed to.
yeah.
So yeah, but it was okay, I guess, for my first time.
That's
I was real excited at first and then was really
right.
depressed.
Well,
So
I hope I didn't add to that, but
that's
so
funny.
where can folks, find out more about you, and where can they find your music and that kind of thing? What's the best route? If I'm somebody that wants to find out more about Billie Joe, where do I need to go first?
Yeah. Well, so Billie Jo Music, it's BillieJo music.com. That's my website. I will tell you that it's terribly behind right now because I haven't had time to go update my shows. I think they're at least updated through the end of April, possibly May. But I have a lot to add. Facebook, Billie Jo Music on Facebook. I have Instagram, Twitter. I do have TikTok, but I'm not very good at that at all. I try. My kids know more about it than I do. And then apparently, if you just Google Billie Jo Music, you can find me because it was crazy. The weirdest thing happened a couple of days ago. This lady reached out to me and she's like, "Can you come?" I sing the national anthem at a lot of
Uh-huh.
things, and apparently she found me on Google because I asked her today. Actually, that's where I was in Dallas. I sang at the Hilton for this conference, this big conference,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, "How'd you hear about me?" And she's like, "I actually found you on Google. I was Googling national anthem singers and you popped up." And I was like, "Oh, that's really cool. Like, I'm glad that you found me because it was kind of crazy." But yeah, BillieJoMusic.com. I've got a bunch of songs out on iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, um, all the
All
web
right.
pages out there.
And, if you're in Texas or heading to Texas, she's going to be playing in Farmersville Saturday night,
Yes.
the
I'll be in
28th,
Canton on Friday.
right? Oh yeah, Canton's not on here.
It's not, probably not. I told you, I'm behind.
Tyler, Tyler, Texas on the 28th, Fredericksburg on the 30th. There's a whole list. Just go in there and click
Yes.
kind of her. You can click on the tour, and it'll have all that
Yes.
stuff listed right there, and you'll find out where she's at. So
Someone
for all of
said
our
earlier, she should come to Arkansas. I think
yes,
North something Arkansas,
Northeast
but
Arkansas, yes.
yeah, and I'm actually gonna be I don't know where this is at because I've only been there one time, but I'll be in, Magnolia, Arkansas. I don't know if that's anywhere
Mhm.
near where they're wanting, but I'll be
Uh,
there in August. And then I'll be in Ohio and West Virginia, in August as
okay,
well. So I'll be I love going all over. So if I can get
yeah.
gigs out of town, I love to fly too. So that's kind of my other favorite thing to do.
Um, yeah, that was a friend of mine, Radius. He's a sound guy, actually.
Oh, cool.
He does sound, and he's in Jonesboro, Arkansas,
Okay.
Northeast Arkansas. So
Okay.
he said that's in Southern Arkansas or South
Okay.
Arkansas.
Okay.
You know, some people say South,
Well
some
then,
people say Southern, and South could
Southern.
be anywhere from,
That's
you
true.
know, Pick it down, if you know Arkansas. Sorry, Radius, not picking on you, brother. Pickett's actually where is that? Not quite that. Um, he says he needs a job. Also, apparently he's not doing much sound. So if you're doing anything, you need a sound guy. Give him a call.
I
Um,
will definitely take that into consideration. If I can get
yeah,
some more stuff in Arkansas, that'd be perfect.
there you
I
go.
hate running town.
He's a I hate to brag on him since he's watching, but he is a pretty decent sound guy. So I'll say that. I won't go all out and say he's really good. Because if I say he's all good, then that means that he's going to start thinking he can get jobs with all of them. He's actually working with some. He's worked with some really big artists, so I mean he knows
That's
his
cool.
stuff. So
Very cool.
but be sure to check Billie Jo out again. Go to BillieJoMusic.com. You can find out everything you want to know right there, where she's gonna be. You can follow her. She's got the links for her Facebook and her Instagram and Twitter and Spotify and bands in town and all that stuff. And by the way, Radius says he will work for food.
Oh, this is perfect. I can hook you up.
There you go.
Come on down to Texas.
You can cook chicken fried steak and white pepper gravy, and he'd be good to go. Trust
Yes.
me, he would be a happy camper. But check Billie Jo out, and Billie Jo, it's been great to have you on. You've just been fantastic to hang out
Thank
with and
you.
talk to and chat. It's been a
Thank you
joy
so much.
to have you on. So keep us posted on what's happening with you. New music when you get that out, and we'll go from there. Beaumont, Texas. I don't know. He says Beaumont, Texas. I don't know
Who
what
said
that
that?
means. That's what Radius. He just put
Oh,
Beaumont, Texas. I don't
Beaumont,
know
Texas.
if he's doing something in Beaumont, Texas. Maybe. I
I'm
don't know.
not sure.
He'll let me know. He'll call me. So if he's doing something down there, I'll be sure to let you know because I mean
Yeah.
maybe y'all can get together on that. You never know.
Yeah.
But till then, we'll be back on Monday night. We'll have another artist for you. So you guys hang out with us then. Go check Billie Jo out. Go look at her website. Go look at the Facebook page and Instagram. Follow her on all that stuff. And by all means, give her music a listen and check it out as well. So Billie Jo, you have a great night, and we'll see you again.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.